Hi, and welcome to another edition of Q&A with the filmmakers here at the Die Laughing Film Festival. Today we have Kirk Flash, whose film is Summer Lane Drive. Hi, Kirk, how are you?
Hey, I'm very good. How are you?
Doing well. And I'm assuming you're joining us from the UK?
I'm here in grey. Well, it's nighttime now, but it was grey today, London. Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's sunny and 70 here in LA, so I'm sorry, but
It's okay. I made a whole web series fantasizing about living in LA, so I understand.
Well, thank you so much again for joining us today. Can you just talk about your role with the project and the genesis, kind of how it came to be?
Yeah, sure thing. So, Summerlane Drive, which is a 9-part live animated doll murder mystery series set in Hollywood in the 90s, was born out of a lack of resources, really. Viewers will see that the whole show is made out of cardboard and paper and plastic and 11-inch fashion dolls. And that's because I didn't have access to actors growing up or anything like that, but I had this idea loosely for a kind of story in a world I wanted to build. And I figured, well, the only way I'm going to actually be able to make this on my own with hardly any money is to actually build it myself.
Wow, that's quite a labor of love, I would imagine.
And craziness, yes.
I imagine there's a lot of like talking to yourself while you're doing this and kind of going through that.
Talking to myself, talking to these 11-inch dolls, talking to the walls. Yeah, and I think we'll probably get to talk about this later, but you have to be a little bit crazy, I think, when you're in this space.
Mhm.
You have to convince yourself that you're doing something worthwhile. So I
Yeah,
did a lot of that.
absolutely. And we can get right into that. I think, it takes a very specific person to see a project like this from beginning to end and to have that drive that keeps pushing you forward to finish it every day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely, the thing that was driving me was the fact that I wanted to prove to myself and to other people who were kind of, invested in me talking about this thing nonstop, to prove to all those people that I could finish it. Um, and yeah, I think a lot of people who you're probably talking to as well had similar moments where they had other people kind of, riding the project as well and wanting it to do well. So that definitely helped.
Yeah, well, and then you end up collaborating with yourself and you're, every idea you bounce off of bounces right back to you.
Exactly. I did have so when I was started coming up with the idea of this murder mystery, I was working with my friend from school, and we've been friends since we were teenagers. And so, luckily, before the project became a solo project, I did have people to bounce off ideas, so it wasn't completely crazy. Although when it got into the kind of the final years of it, because it took years to make, yeah, it was a lot of bouncing ideas off myself and kind of hoping that they'd stick.
Yeah. And where does this fall in your sort of portfolio of projects, or is this like the first, or is it like in the middle, or where does this kind of fit in there?
So Summer Lane Drive fits at the beginning. I kind of made my living working in advertising, and doing some stuff for TV. But this was kind of my first baby, as you put it. And I've done projects since Summerlin Drive started,
Mhm.
but Summerlin Drive was almost like this long-term relationship in my life because I had to keep on going back to it.
Mhm.
And so it's at the beginning of my journey, and I've learned so much since Summerlin Drive. But then it's also the last thing I've released, and I'm really proud of it. It's a really good reflection of what I had, and the response from fans has been amazing. I got a message the other day from someone saying that it got them through a really hard time in lockdown last year, and I obviously no one knew that lockdown was going to happen. So I guess if they, watch these kind of dollies running around the screen trying to solve a murder, that's going to make someone smile at least for 5 minutes. And the episodes are short as well, so it's all very watchable.
Yeah, and it's so nice that, if it is something that took years and you were having to kind of put it on pause and then come back to it, that it was finished in a time when it sounds like someone really needed it. Like you
Yeah,
could have timed that better.
yeah, no, I really couldn't have. Although I probably could have timed it a little bit better because I hadn't finished filming it, and then lockdown started. And in the UK, they were pretty strict. That there was actually like cash fines that they could give you if they caught you outside of your house without a reason, because obviously it was lockdown meant lockdown in the UK.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of nighttime trips to my small studio space, which is on the other side of London, to literally finish it because I was writing it and rewriting it as I was editing it.
Mhm.
And so the ending, which I won't spoil, was something that I only really got clarity on whilst the episodes were coming out. And one episode was coming out a week, and when it got to like episode 5, I was like, this is the ending that I really want viewers to see.
Mhm.
And so I was literally rushing against time because I was on this schedule. And luckily I was able to get it out and then sit back and go, yeah, it was all pre-planned, and be cool about it. But in actual fact, it wasn't at all.
You mentioned your studio. What kind of, can you take me, as someone who has not done a film like this ever, can you kind of, or the episodes, can you take me through what something like this takes to shoot, kind of on a breakdown basis? Because I think people see things like this and don't realize that it's like shot, like how much work really goes into that.
So there are some shots where I look back on it now and I'm like, wow, how did I actually do that? A lot of aggressive planning, because it's, you know, a very small team, and I'm working with dolls who are operated by strings, so it's kind of like Thunderbirds vibes. It meant that every space had to be completely planned out, right? Because I wasn't able to build. I mean, it's set in the Hollywood Hills, right? These characters live in mansions and they have pools and they ride around in limos and all sorts. So when it came to actually building those sets, I just had to be very, very sure about what was in each corner of each space, and then build that thing separately and be very, very precise. Otherwise, and I learned the hard way, the first set I built was an entire ground floor of a house, and we saw none of the house. Oh. And it was like, oh, okay, this is how people make films then, right? They need to be a bit more strategic about what they build. But in terms of resources, it's a lot of cardboard, a lot of paper, foam board, glue, paint, and a belief in God, I think. Just, yeah, because a lot of things should not have worked, and a lot of things worked accidentally, and I blew a lot of bulbs and caused a lot of accidents trying to make stuff happen, because there are a few special effects, but I'm not like a SFX whiz, so all of it's in camera, most of it anyway. And so luckily I didn't kill myself or anyone else in the building, because it's a shared building that my studio's in.
That's good. Thank goodness for that. Are you working on anything else that you want to plug or tell us about?
Actually, as it happens, I am. I'm working on a 6-part comedy series that's going to be coming out later this year. I can't say too much more about it than that, although I have learned so much from Summer Lane Drive that has helped inform this project. And luckily now, because I've demonstrated that I, you know, can tell a story, and hopefully your viewers will agree, actors were more than happy to jump on board, because I know you're probably talking to a lot of people who had to beg favors from friends, or, you know, really try hard to get talent involved. And luckily for me, it's become an easier process. And I'm hoping that my next thing after this will be even easier. And then one day I might get paid, and that'll be the dream.
Right? That's always the goal. You gotta shoot for something like that. Yeah. No, exactly. I think, you know, when you have passion and you're into what you're doing, there's a magnetism to that, and it just automatically draws people who want to be a part of it and are excited to be around people like you.
Oh, well, I hope so. I definitely am trying to become more of a not socially awkward person, because after years of just working with dolls, you lose a certain set of skills, and you have to kind of go back into the world of people again. So if I'm coming across as human on this, then I've done a good job. You
absolutely are. But I also think that, you know, the pandemic has kind of leveled the playing field on some of those, because a lot of people are not having interactions with other people other than the people in their house. So I think
and I live alone, so
okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying here. Okay, I am trying.
No, but it's all good. I mean, luckily I live in London. Nothing's far away from me, and London, luckily, right now is starting to come out of lockdown. So I've got some friends who are at a bar at the moment, and that was like mind blowing. I couldn't. Yeah. So it's getting better, and I'm glad that I had a creative project to kind of keep me going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, is there anything else about the series that you'd like us to know?
No, I'm just really happy for people to see it. I'm hoping it will delight them. And if you're into arts and crafts and handy stuff, then this one's for you. And also, if you're a person who doesn't have a lot of resources, doesn't come from a lot of support, just know that you can find ways to tell your story, even if it means bumping up and down little dollies and making paper backgrounds and all the rest of it. Like you can make what's in here if you think your way around it.
Yes, absolutely. And that's so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
You
no
can
worries.
see Summerland Drive, the portal for the Die Laughing Film Festival, where you can catch this film and many others, is going to open on May 28th at noon, and it will close on May 29th at 10. So be sure to check out Summerland Drive. Thank you.
Summer Lane Drive
Yes.
with an E.
Oh, Summer Lane. Sorry, Lane. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I'm so
honestly,
sorry.
my friends for a whole several years were calling it all sorts of things. So that was the closest. Thank you.
Summer Lane Drive. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Kirk. This has been so wonderful. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and talk to us about your project.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a good one. Have a great rest of your weekend. And hopefully maybe we can do this in person next year.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to get on a plane again. Oh, I'd love that. Yes.
It would be fantastic. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.